necessarily a democratic socialist. They are just to the left of me. I'm a social democrat, which means I'm in favor of a Scandinavian system. I mean, it's, that's why a lot of people listen to the show say I'm right of them, because I probably am. I'm kind of in agreement with Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie calls himself a democratic socialist, but when you look at his policy positions, he actually is pretty clearly a social democrat, because he seems to favor like a, Scandinavian system, Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden. Because I think once you give people free healthcare, free college, a living wage, once you end the wars, once you give people, real equal opportunity, at that point, I become fine with the meritocracy. If you have the minimum to live a decent life, to live a life free of, degradation, to live a life free of poverty, if you have that bare minimum, then I have no problem then at that point turning around and saying, okay, now it's on you if you want to make it within the context of the system we have here that we've set up. So a mixed market system is, I like the idea of a meritocracy in that the harder you work, the further you go, but only if you have the bare minimums met, which I think includes, there should be unions that fight for workers. There should be a living wage. There should be free college and free healthcare. And, even daycare and universal insurance. Certain things should be off the table, but once you get those things off the table, yes, I'm not 100% anti-capitalist. I think there is something about that kind of system where the harder you work, the further you go, conforms with human nature. And you want to feel like there's a little bit of competition going on, and you're going to be better than the next person, and you can beat the next person, and that is an incentive to push and go further. And there is something about the market system in certain industries that makes sense, where you try to create the best product at the cheapest cost. And, the example I always use is look at the cars that came out of the Soviet Union versus the cars that come out of the U.S. In the U.S., it was capitalism and competition that got us amazing cars that can do amazing things, whereas the ones that came out of the Soviet Union were comical because there's no competition. So nobody's trying to make a better product at a cheaper price. So you have these totally inefficient, silly cars that we wouldn't make with the worst manufacturer here. So when it comes to, consumer goods, video games, movies, cars, that's not an issue where I think the government should be involved. And it's an issue where the free market has shown it yields better results. Whereas other issues like healthcare and health insurance and education, the government does it better. So I think the world is not a simple place. It's a complex place. And in some ways, the market system is preferable. In some ways, government and socialism is preferable. So I think because humans are complex beings and human nature is weird, you have to have a system that gets the best for us. And the best way to do that is to have a mixed market economy that has socialism and capitalism. And it makes it so that we have the highest standard of living possible and the best incentive structures possible and has all the bare minimums met and all the basics met and gives everybody true equal opportunity. Not equality of outcome, but equality of opportunity. So yes, there are some people who might be Marxists or anarchists or libertarian socialists or whatever they would describe themselves that listen to this show. But I disagree with them because I never really understood exactly what they're asking for and what they want and what their ideal is. And to the extent any of them can vocalize what it is, it's mostly theoretical answers they give. Whereas in my mind, I'm an empiricist. Just prove it to me and that's it. You got me. Just show me how, if it works in real life. And guess what? We see pretty clearly that the Scandinavian systems work spectacularly. So the evidence is there for my preferred system. You talk to a run-of-the-mill right-wing libertarian, they can only tell you theoretically what they favor because when you put it into practice, it sucks. I feel a similar way about the ideologies that are way to the left of me. Well, I'm a communist. Okay, well, where has it worked? Oh, but all the ones where it didn't work, it's not true communism.